When you need a scraper for RAG, the problem isn't getting the data, it's cleaning it. JavaScript breaks things, HTML is messy, and we just waste time trying to make it usable for the LLM. The fix to this is Crawl4AI. It's built for AI, has async, handles JavaScript, outputs clean Markdown or JSON, and it runs up to 6 times faster than traditional Python scrapers like Scrapy. We get model-ready data faster than I've ever seen before. How does this work? How is this different? These are the questions. So what is Crawl4AI really? At first, it just seems like another Python crawler, but it's not built for scraping, it's built for AI. Here's the difference. Most crawlers give us raw HTML. Crawl4AI gives us a clean Markdown or structured JSON ready for an LLM. It handles JavaScript using Playwright, it runs async so it actually scales, and it has the Prefetch mode which skips heavy rendering when you just need the links. Now this matters because if we're building chatbots, assistants, these agents, our problem isn't crawling, it's turning that messy web page data into usable data. Crawl4AI removes this entire problem and fast. If you enjoy this kind of content, be sure to subscribe. We have videos coming out all the time. Let's start simple. Here's the most basic crawl I spun up. A lot of this I got from their repo and docs, and I just tweaked a few lines to get this to run. I imported async web crawler, which handles asynchronous web requests for AI pipelines. Then I call a run on a tech news URL, right? That's it. Now look at this output. This isn't raw HTML we're getting back, it's clean Markdown, it's clean JSON. Heading structured, links preserved, and under it all, it fetches the page, parses the DOM, removes the noise, and it ranks the content so we can keep the important stuff without all that extra jargon. Now, if we need to build a news summarizer in this case, or a RAG prototype, we don't write cleaning scripts. We just pass this directly into your model. We expected scraping, at least I did with this, like any other scraping tool, but what we actually got is data that's already prepped for us. The gap, that's time saved. Now, it does get even more interesting from here. As I was playing around with it, you might think rendering every page is necessary. That's not actually the case. Watch this. This is the same crawler, but now we set prefetch to true. I'm going to hit Hacker News. See how fast this runs? This was actually insane how fast it ran. Instead of rendering every page, it grabs links first, just async fetching. If you're building an aggregator, this is nice. We first find what we need, then we can extract it later on. You don't crawl everything, just what we need. And that difference scales when you're dealing with hundreds or thousands of URLs. Now let's talk a bit more about the production side of things. I'll run a deep crawl using BFS Deep Crawl Strategy. This is their version of a BFS approach. I then define resume state right here, and I add an on state change callback. I'm going to start the crawl, and then I'm going to kill the process. Now, most tools, when you kill that process, they start over again. But when I rerun this, watch this, we restart using the saved JSON state, and it continues exactly where it left off without losing anything. So building a large RAG knowledge base, a crash isn't annoying. Usually it's just expensive, right? But here it picks back up. Now, the part most scrapers can't do is semantic extraction. If I define a schema using Pydantic, so job title, company, salary, I'm going to scrape Indeed. Okay, then I configure their class LLM extraction strategy with an instruction and provider. I'm going to run it on Indeed, the job listing site, and look at this output. That's really good, actually. Structured JSON with clean fields. And here's what's happening. Crawl4AI converts the page, like I've said, Markdown, JSON, you choose. It will then send it to a model. The model structures it based on your schema. It's not scraping text, just extracting what we want. The LLM now can handle this. That's a completely different level of capability for LLM-style tools. Now, this was cool, but let's zoom out for a second. The pros here, it's fast. It's really fast, up to 6 times in benchmarks. It handles JavaScript automatically. It's async and scalable, and it resumes after crashes. But the highlight here, it integrates LLMs directly. Plus, it's open source. I just had a pip install this, and we're up and running. Now, just like with anything, there are trade-offs here. It's Python only, right? We might use Python, you might not. That could be a drawback. LLM features require API keys unless you run local models like Ollama. Having crawling can still hit rate limits, and like any fast-moving open source project, you gotta update this, right? Updates are being pushed. But for AI-focused devs, it removes a lot of pain points. right? Especially in these RAG pipelines. Now let's compare it to what you might already be using. Scrapy. If you're coming from Python, boom. It's great for massive static crawls, but it's rule-based and it's boilerplate heavy. Honestly, it takes a lot of time to set that up. If you want LLM extraction on Markdown output, you're building custom layers. With Crawl4AI, that's just built in. You have BeautifulSoup. That's really lightweight, too simple, but it's really just a parser. There's no crawling engine, there's no JavaScript rendering. You'll end up just stitching a bunch of things together. Then, of course, the big one is Selenium. It renders JavaScript, sure, right? But it's slower and it's more manual. Scaling async workflows is still going to be a pain. Crawl4AI wraps Playwright internally and exposes a clear async API. If you're building traditional rule-based crawlers for static data, your existing tools are honestly going to be fine. But if you're building AI systems, RAG pipelines, autonomous agents, Crawl4AI is purpose-built for that kind of world, and it's just a really cool AI tool. It doesn't just crawl pages, it prepares the data, it prepares what the LLM needs. So that's Crawl4AI. If you're into AI, this is probably worth checking out. It was super fast. I was actually shocked by that. And it's really cool if we are building these RAG-style pipelines, we can push that data cleanly into our LLMs. We'll see you in another video.